Well, hello, my friends. Hello, Guillaume. It's so good to have you here. Today is going to be fun. I am having kind of an anxious day. I was just telling Carrie, and I don't know how she is yet because we both just got here. So today's topic, if Carrie doesn't even know, is how to have it all. And yeah, so we're gonna talk about, can you have it all? Do we have the capacity to have it all? Do you want to have it all? What does that look like for you? It's going to be different for everyone. And how do we deal with that, having it all, but then when things go wrong? Because that's what's happening to me today. So let's just get into the whole nitty-gritty of it and see where we go. And if you have anything to add, please put it in the chat. We love hearing from you. So what's up, Carrie? How you doing? Your business BFF right here.
Yeah, and I'm super excited to have this conversation now that I know what it is about, especially because given everything you and I were just talking about, I was like, oh, I have a feeling that today's conversation will get our vibration to where it needs to be for everything to resolve. So, yeah, cheers to that. And the thing of all the questions that you asked in the beginning, how do you have it all? Blah, 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 blah. Do you even want to have it all? That was the one that stuck with me. Do you even want to have it all? So when this topic comes up, for me, what comes up, did you ask me how I was doing? I'm doing amazing. I'm doing super great. Like amazing things are happening in my life. I feel like I say this like regularly, but it is beautiful and amazing that regularly I am surprised by the things that I've asked for showing up. So that's been really fun. And most recently, the most fun, tangible example that you guys will get a kick out of is yesterday or the day before, I got a letter in the mail that I wasn't sure if it was real or fake or like spam. Spam, what do you call that when it's spam mail? I don't like real mail, but anyways, I opened it right away. I just got the sense like I was supposed to open it. And so I did and opened it. And it was a legit check for over $1,000, like a check in the mail. Who gets checks in the mail anymore? Dollars or something that like it's legit. I didn't know the money was coming. I knew money was coming. I didn't know that it would come from that source, possibility or available, but it was very real. And $1,000 check came into my life for no reason. So yay that. But the question that I was starting to answer is, do we want to have it all? And so when I think about having plaids and a yellow blazer and a black pencil skirt with a like patent leather belt, and sort of this idea of like, you can have it all. But what I know about that woman is that like she was not holding her shit together. And so having it all, like, I don't want it all. I want what I want. I don't want everything. And so can I have all that I want? Abso-freaking-lutely. But I do think that idea of having it all, like so many of us have images in our head or stories that we're told ourselves, or we're like, I want to be successful. And we have an idea of what that is and what comes with it. And we don't necessarily want all of what that is and what comes with it. And so I'm hopeful that today's conversation is a little bit about discerning that, like figuring out what is it that we really want, because what we want doesn't have to come with what we don't want. So that's where I'm going. I saw you nodding, Rachel.
Well, you know what's actually really fascinating? I'm putting something together right now. So I always assume that it's tailored to me. Like the idea of wanting it all, I'm like, yeah, I want everything, but I don't, that image that you have, like that lady's got kids. I don't want kids. I don't have kids. Like that's not part of my all. And so I never really think to question the image. And you want to know why I think that is. Like, and this has happened to me a long time. Like I had a client who was maybe going to become a channeler, but she's like, well, I don't want to do it the way he does it because he went hiking every day and he did all this other stuff. And I was like, well, why is that image in your head? Like we're not talking about him. We're talking about you. But you know what I just realized the other day? I have aphantasia, which prevents me from having images in my head. I can't visualize with images, which is why often you'll notice that all of my guided meditations are about feelings. They're not about images in your head. So it all makes sense. And I think that's really freeing for me because I'm not ever really comparing myself to anyone else. When I say I don't know the pathway to get to where I want, or I can't see the thing that I want altogether, it's because I literally can't. And it's kind of freeing too.
Wait,
So
now I have questions. So when I just described that woman, you couldn't visualize her?
I could see the parts that you were talking about. Like when you say, the blazer and the shoulder pad, I can't physically see it, but I can remember what that looks like, you
Got
know?
it.
So I
Got it.
have that. I mean, I can, you
So
know,
if you read a book and it's like super descriptive, can you pull up mental images?
it's funny because I read a lot and I follow stories and stuff, but it's not like I can see those characters like they're real. It's a real world to me, but
Right.
it's more like I just kind of know it. I don't see it.
Super interesting.
Yeah,
I
no
learned,
idea. I had no idea this was a thing. So it's so
uh,
funny.
well, I love it. And that makes so much sense. Love it.
Yeah. Hey, Corinne. So, yeah, it's all about your all, like what we're getting at here. Carrie has her specific wants and she wants all of them. And I have my specific wants and I want all of them. And I love this game. I love Queen. I want it all. I want it all. I want it all. And I want it now. Yeah. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Like, I was just telling my friend that I've always been really inspired by people who have very full lives. Like, I watched the Tori Spelling reality show so many years ago, and she was like, she had her kids and she was finishing a book and she was on a deadline and then she had to go to a party. So she had to sit there on the couch with the kids crazy, like finishing her book, like handing it off before she leaves. And she was like doing products. And, we see the lives of Oprah, who, when she had her show, was like, you know, people giving her tea and like flying her everywhere. And she was working on the plane and she'd never sleep. And I have all these images, even Kim Kardashian, like she's going to law school kind of and doing the kid thing and doing the businesses. Like that's always what I saw for myself, minus the kids, of course. Um, and I don't know why, but I just love that idea of being busy all the time and doing so many different things. So that's kind of what I always envisioned my life would be like. And I know for some people, that's the opposite of their all. Their all would be like, you know, reading on a beach in the morning with their coffee and having a slow day. And maybe they're retired, or maybe they're a writer and they're writing in the shack, with the breeze coming in. So do you want to describe your all a little bit, Carrie?
Well, it's interesting because I definitely see bits and pieces of my all in both of the things you're saying. So I like to have done a lot of things. I don't like to be doing a lot of things. so so I'm a both. Like I'm recognizing all of the things you're talking about. Being Tori Spelling and having the kids crawling all over me while I finish a book. Like I've actually done that. Um and I don't want to ever do that again. But that is part of like what I guess it's part of my all, right? Check off the list that I completed a book while my children were little. Um, I definitely, so when I think about having it all, I think about less specifics. So I think about like great relationships with my kids and my husband. I think about making a meaningful impact with the way that I show up as a leader. I definitely having it all involves me getting my workout in, and it involves usually like doing that with friends as well. So maybe not every day, but like regularly meeting up with friends to go running or to do some sort of like activity. And that feels incredibly leisurely to me. And so having it all for me does mean a lot of accomplishments. It does mean meaningful impact, but it doesn't mean busyness. It means it actually is quite leisurely. Like I think I was telling you, Rachel, when I imagined my future self like 15 years ago, whatever, she was a lady who lives basically the life that I do now, only she went out to lunch with her friends. And I recognize, like, I don't think that I want to be the lady that goes out to lunch with her friends. And like there's a very specific Newport Beach lady around here where I live that I can conjure an image of, and they all have the same face and the same boobs, actually. That is not who I want to be. But at the time, that was the only image I had of this kind of life that I lead now, which is leisurely and in my yoga pants, and I can do what I want when I want. And I have the time to go have lunch with friends if I want to. I just never do. So yeah, that's my all. My all also includes a Kim Kardashian traveling by private jet. Like that is an all that I've not yet achieved. It does involve having a bigger impact than I currently have. Having maybe not bigger impact isn't the right word, but I guess it is the right word. Thinking more, impacting more lives. And currently I'm thinking about the avenue that I would like to do that is in the coaching, cross country and track realm. And I recognize, oh, that's sort of a rekindlement of a dream I had a long time ago. Right. So I don't know. For me, there's just my all, and it also includes like millions upon millions, potentially billions of dollars, which is why I can travel by private jet. So yeah. Did I answer you?
Yeah. And what I love about that too is because each answer is so personal, we're not really always going to resonate with anyone else's all. We just have to respect that everyone wants something different, whether slightly different or completely different. And that's kind of the beauty of this world right now is we are energetic beings. We're here to live our own experience, and we can do that. As integrated as we think we are with our families and our friends and our society, we really did come here to live our own life. And we wouldn't, like, we had a call with Intimate Alien this week who was basically telling us, like, there's absolutely nothing you're not capable of. Nothing you're not capable of experiencing and doing and having and being in this lifetime right now. We are the ones that control that. And so you can have your all, but it takes us unraveling those beliefs that are standing in our way. And how we unravel those beliefs is we believe that we can have our all, and we follow our individual path forward because it's always there. And that's really what I think is kind of cool about all of this, and why I'm so certain really that I'm gonna get my all is because we're always, so our higher self, right, not bothered by our individual limiting beliefs, not bothered in the slightest, always keeps that certainty, always is guiding us forward toward our all. Our all, if you're in Abraham world, is like your vortex. That's your all. All of it is right there for you, being lived by your multidimensional self, your higher self, your soul, right? That's all part of you. That's part of your truth. That's why it feels so good to you. It's your truth. So if that's already going on, if it's already assembled, already known, your higher self is already guiding you in that direction, well, what's your part in this? It's to line up with that path as best you can, which means you think about having it all. Well, why do we want to have it all? Because it feels good. It feels exciting. It feels enlivening. It feels whatever it feels like to you, peaceful, impactful, adventurous, right? So your all is going to have a feeling attached to it. And if you can line yourself up with that feeling now, Well, by gone, your pathway is going to lead you pretty directly into that all. Like I think there's a big reason why Carrie and I, a lot of our all is already pretty checked off, like there's always going to be more, thankfully, because that's exciting. But it's not like we're over here. You can see me. We're over here and our all is like off the screen, right? Like parts of it may feel like that, but we're really primed. We've really been walking that path for such a long time. And we just keep getting better and better at it. Like that way the checks will show up in the mail, right? So I just love that it's not a difficult thing to understand how to get there. But it takes such mastery of ourselves and knowing that, as Intimate Alien was saying the other day, really just takes that question of, am I willing to be the person that walks this path? Am I willing to match it? Am I willing to go there? So if you can answer yes to that question, I am willing to do my best to match this path. I'm willing to do my best to feel this feeling as often as I can. Then what do? Then when you feel like calling your friend, you call your friend. When you feel like driving to the store a different way, you drive to the store a different way. When you feel like writing down an idea, you write down an idea. Basically, you give yourself permission to follow the inspirations coming from your higher self. Because if you've done all that work of putting yourself in the vibrational spot to match up with the inspirations that move you forward on your path to having it all, and you ignore those inspirations, well, you're the one cutting yourself off, right? And your inspirations will never be anything too far out of your comfort zone. It'll be one step at a time. It'll never ask you to like spend $1 million that you don't have. That's all this fear brain talking. Your inspirations will be simple and easy. And that's why it's so easy to just be like, oh, that doesn't sound productive. I'm not going to do that. But now I think I've been talking for a little bit now, so I'm gonna open it up.
Well, this was all really good, and I took quite a few notes. One of the things that you said that hit me, and I don't know if I've ever heard you say this before, is just that our higher self is not bothered at all by our limiting beliefs. And that's so reassuring. That's going to make me yawn. Just knowing that and remembering that. And I think we've said it in lots of different ways, and our higher self is unconditional. But it was just good to hear it that way. And then that is a question I ask myself a lot. Or that is how I trick myself into lining up with what I want, is to be willing. So I loved when Intimate Alien said, because basically like people will say, affirm it, act as if, believe that it is real. And for me, that sometimes can create resistance, but like I'm willing to be a millionaire. I'm willing to be a billionaire. I'm willing to be a best-selling author. I'm willing, right? Like those sorts of things. I can quickly line up with, I'm yawning some more. So super grateful for that. And then you said this, you said, give yourself permission to follow the inspiration that comes from your higher self. And remember that inspiration is going to be easy. It's going to be subtle. It's going to be stuff. I know when I first started down this path, I thought inspiration would be this like major divine download. I thought it would be like, I remember watching an interview with J.K. Rowling, and she said like she got the whole Harry Potter series in like a very quick download when she was on the subway or something. And so like, I was waiting for that. I was like, all of my like small nudges, I was just like, I don't know. I mean, whatever. Like, I don't know. Like, why am I worried about this? Or what am I thinking about? Like, I was ignoring the small nudges because I was waiting for my Harry Potter moment. And so it's been helpful to remember like any small nudge, like the full butterfly effect, right? Any small nudge, any little thing like can change the trajectory of where you're going. If it comes from, well, obviously it can do it anyway, but when it comes from your higher self, when it's a little divine spark of an idea, like that's all it needs to be. I think the biggest thing that has happened for me, and as you were talking about us and what's happened over these past several years and how we've really lined up with our all. Yeah, and there's so much more, right? But it is that. It is relaxing. Honestly, Rachel, for me, it was a lot of like, I want to say giving up. It was a lot of like, well, let's just forget it. And then it comes back around, right? And so that has been great. When you were talking about there's nothing that you can't do, I was like thinking to myself, I don't know, I call bullshit on that. Like, I'm pretty sure that in this lifetime, I will never become an Olympic gymnast. And that was a dream of mine when I was a little kid. And then I remember Jonathan Van Ness. And if you follow him on Instagram, I'm imagining that when he was a little boy, he would watch Olympic gymnastics on TV the same way that I did, and like secretly wish that one day he could be Carrie Strug. And now he is full on doing it in his rainbow leotard on his, I don't know if he's doing it on TV, but he's definitely doing it on his Instagram. And that was my reminder, like, Carrie,
He's touring.
What's that?
Yeah, he's touring all over the world doing it.
I didn't know that. Okay, so see, that just reminded me, like, if I could choose, just like Jonathan Van Ness, to make that Olympic gymnastic dream come true for myself. So yeah. I'm curious. I'm looking at the comments, but Corinne talked about, we asked you what your guys' all was. Please put it in the chat. Just things that your all includes. We know you can't possibly write it all in the chat. But she says, regardless of what it physically is showing up for myself in my vulnerability. And what that means to me is like fully embodied, right? Relaxed and comfortable in your own skin, unashamed of who you are and what you want. And so I just wanted to affirm you in that, Corinne. Like, that is how you show up here on these live streams, how you participate in the comments is, I'm going to yawn again, in your vulnerability. I guess I should explain yawning is a good thing for me. You guys aren't boring me. So it's a good thing.
Yeah. When Carrie's like hearing truth, she aligns, or saying truth, she aligns.
Yeah. And it makes me
aligns. She yawns.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yawning and alignment go hand in hand over here.
Yeah.
Gosh, there was something else I wanted to say. It was about the all. Oh, so this is something that is often a problem with me. And I'm guessing that with you, Rachel, based on what's the little hiccups in your systems right now, it might be, right, that sometimes we have something that we really, really want. And we have a belief that we don't want. And we think that those things have to go together. So I wish I could think of something off the top of my head. I'm like drawing a blank on a good example of, well, more money, more problems, right? So this idea, like, I want to have so much money, but I don't want my relatives to come out of the woodwork asking me for it. Or I want to have, right, so much of this, but I don't want this thing that I perceive comes with it. Can we talk about that?
Yeah, the shit sandwich. As what's her name? Elizabeth Gilbert wrote about in Big Magic. Yeah. What do you want to talk about?
Well, maybe the best way to talk about it, partly I'm asking for help, partly I'm recognizing, like, it happens. These things come up. So when we are getting what we want, we also often get the thing that we don't want because we thought it came with it, right? So I'm starting to have a lot of success and ease and everything is going well. Oh shit, my systems are breaking down. My internet isn't working. Right? Like, I've asked for this like huge amount of ease, but then it comes with all this crap. And I guess, can you help me untangle what I'm trying to say? Because I feel like you are feeling it.
Yeah. So here's an example. I'm going away next week on my basically my 40th birthday trip that I planned a month ago to the Tetons, one of my favorite places. And I'm also finishing up my year and 30 days thing right now. Actually, yesterday was supposed to be my last day, but there's been technical problems this week. 2 days ago, I was finishing the last video in a new series I'm putting in the intuitive art certification. And this never happened before, but like it wouldn't export. And I had just spent so much time, hours. I stayed until midnight editing this video, and then it wouldn't export. And so of course I had to like figure it out and like go online and figure it out. And it took me a whole nother day to export this video, but I got it. And then yesterday I realized that the Intuitive Art Academy, that our enrollment pages were down. So how people check out to purchase the certification is down, which means I can't make money that way, right? Like it's actually a really big deal. And I host with GoDaddy on their like premium hosting so that it automatically does backups and stuff. So like anytime I've ever had a problem before, I just go back a few days, restore a backup, and it's been fine. Well, that's not even working right now. I can't get into my site. I can't restore a backup. It's just, and like even their chat hasn't been able to help me. So the next step is I have to call them, figure it out, right? And it's a pain in the butt. And, you know, this kind of stuff, it does come up from time to time. It's not, I wouldn't say I have a shit sandwich all the time with my business. It's not like I'm sacrificing one thing in order to have what I want. But once in a while, when I go wonky or I feel like, oh, I have a deadline coming up, so I need to do something, it gets a little in the way because my resistance manifests physically. That's how it works. It's really simple, you know? When we have a vibration, we're going to see it somehow. That's what's happening here.
So, right, this is part of a bigger, thank you for sharing that. I wasn't expecting you to share it if you didn't feel ready. And I am going to call you out on some lies that you're telling yourself. You're welcome for that. But okay, so what's coming up is like, we both know I created this, right? Like, oh crap, I did this. And so when stuff like this comes up, right, it is like you're saying, it is, oh, this is symptomatic of my own resistance. Oh, I just up-leveled my program. I just like am super excited about the ease with which people are enrolling. I'm like, everything is moving and shaking and I am getting my all. And then everything's breaking. So where I want to call you on your bullshit, and so we can all benefit, is you said twice, I had to figure it out. I have to call them. There was a lot of like, have to. And you and I both know better. So I'm just curious if this was me telling you that I'm going through this. I don't have time to deal with this shit and I have to do this. I have to. What would you say to me?
Well, I would say leave it alone, feel better, go back to it, which I did.
Good.
To be honest, the first night I was like, all right, I'm not going to waste time being frustrated on this. I'll go back to it the next day. And it took, you know, maybe 15 minutes the next day after I'd already kind of searched around to find the solution. And then I did the same thing with our site. Like last night, tried to figure it out and I was like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. I'm going to leave it alone. But I mean, now it's like I am feeling more anxious about it because it's been 2 days that I know of, but I don't know what else to do. So please counsel me. Like, what do I do?
Well, I'm just going back to what you said. Your higher self is not bothered by your limiting beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so that I think is the good news. This is where we can remember that we can have it all. And one of the things that you're discovering in this is like, oh, I have this belief that like, because I know this is like a sliver of belief that's left inside of Rachel, right? But somewhere there's a belief that's left inside of Rachel of like, it can't be too easy. When it starts to like be super duper great, like something's bound to happen. Or I don't know, Rachel, maybe is there something around when you leave town, like things that, right? Like, I don't know what the belief is, but this is the manifestation of something that's ready to go. And the good news is, like, your higher self is not bothered at all by this. Big you, that's what I call your higher self. Big you knows what you've asked for, and it is delivering it to you despite whatever resistance that you are throwing in its path. So you can relax.
That's true. That is very true. That I am thinking that this is a hindrance to income or to people enrolling and getting what they want. But I can relax around that. I can even send an email saying, "Hey, our site's down. Here's how to enroll if you want to."
Yeah. So, which, I mean, we know, like,
Mhm.
we know this. This is our logical stuff, but it's also recognizing, like, oh, there you are, little sliver of a belief.
Mhm.
And in the choosing to have it all, I choose what I want, regardless of these circumstances, regardless of whatever catastrophe, whatever shit sandwich is happening. Oh, I choose this without that. I thought this had to come with that, but it doesn't. It makes me think about people from I have a good friend from England, and she's like, I love going to restaurants in the United States. I love it so much because I can say, can I have this, but without that? And can I have this, but instead of this, can I have that? And can I have this, but can you put that on the side? And she's like, in England, they just straight tell you no. They're like, no, this is how it comes, take it or leave it. Um, and here, and when we're placing our orders to the universe, we really do get to have it however we want. This is going to take me down a different path, I think. So I'm going to pause and see where you are with all this, Rachel.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's a good reminder because I do get a little fiery sometimes and and sometimes when we do that, we compound the problem. Like we just dig our hole deeper and deeper. So I do try to always step away before it gets to that point. But, you know, I think you're right also about the like, I'm going out of town and I have a perceived deadline and like there's a lot converging right now, which is good because then I get to step away from all of it, like
Well,
take
and
that dirt out of here.
I'm remembering how you started the call. You were like, "Oh, I want this really busy life. I want to be doing all the things. I want to be Tori Spelling, finishing my book with my children crawling on top of me. Only I don't want children." So what could be like children crawling on top of me? Technical problems. Right? And so it's just kind of recognition. I think this is super important. And I'm like so grateful to you for being open and vulnerable about this, just like how Corinne is. Because, you know, you are such an example of living with ease and getting everything you want and everything working out perfectly. Like that happens so much in your life. And so this is a really tangible example of the yeah, but like, yeah, but we all go through human stuff. And I think for me, at least for me in discerning my all, this issue that you're having, this is the thing that stops me from getting more of what I want is the believing that, because I'll say things all the time. Well, I want this, or I want this, but I don't want, right? Like there's that, like I think it comes with a catch. And that's only true because I believe it to be true. It's only true because other people have told me that it's true. It's only true. Like it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that is the biggest challenge for me in getting what I want, having it all is I don't want it all. I just want my specifics because the all for me encompasses all the crap, everything that I believe comes with what I want. But the truth is, I can have what I want and only what I want. And even saying that, I mean, that feels so good. So I'm just going to say it again. I can have what I want and only what I want, or what I want and even better stuff that I didn't even know I wanted, right? Like that is what I can have. And I think all the other stuff just comes from, what do you call it, Rachel? I can't remember what you call it now. Mixed vibrations. There's something that, right? It's just having an old story or a have to, right? Having that running in the background. And so it's our job just to sort of pluck those out and throw them away.
When we see them.
Yeah. Yeah, the tricky part is seeing them.
Well, yes. I mean, I guess it's not for me because I so rarely am in this position. You know what I mean? So it's like when it's up, I'm like, God damn you. You know? But like when you are, I guess it's like there are people who try to live their life that way, who try to like, I got to get rid of all this shit before I take my step. But that's the opposite of ease right there. The shit will come out when it is most convenient for you. You don't need to live your life to pull out that stuff.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
And because Rachel and I happen to be coaches, we happen to think it's super useful to have a coach there to reflect you back to you. Mm-hmm. Like I can't tell you how many times I have been in coaching situations just like the conversation Rachel and I just had, where I'll just repeat somebody's words straight back to them. And they'll be like, oh, crap. Oh, I said that? Oh, that's not what I meant. Oh, and then there's a recognition of, oh, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to tell that story. I actually don't want that to be my truth. Thank you. I will stop telling that story immediately. I will release that. I will let that go. And it can be as simple as that, which is really cool. Okay. Let's talk about living in our vortex, or living in the vibration of having it all, because I think we all want to do that. And I remember quite early on, I was pissed about that. I wanted to live in the vibration of, say, a millionaire or billionaire, or like just having lots more money. And I didn't know what that felt like. And so people would say, well, just get into the feeling of that. And I'm like, if I knew what that felt like, I would have it. So let's talk a little bit about, how do we do that? How do we get into the feeling of something that we've never had? How do we align with something that we really want and we don't know what it feels like?
I mean, so let's just take my newly found aphantasia for a spin here, because even though I can't see things in my mind, like I can't close my eyes and see a horse. I know what a horse looks like. I've seen a horse before. I can imagine a horse, even if it's not the same way you imagine a horse, right? So it's conceptual for me. In school, when they had us like do this memorization trick where you would like walk around a block in, you know, a neighborhood and like put things in certain places, and then it would be easy to remember where they were. I was like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This doesn't work for me. But I didn't know that that was a problem. I thought everyone had the same experience as me, and I was just doing it wrong. So that is to say that there are different ways to access this. Like, now it's time to be a grown-up and to say, okay, if it's important for me to know how something feels, or to know the vibration of something, which vibration is even a cleaner of a word, right? Then I can do it. I have the ability some way to access this vibration because I'm a vibrational being. So even if it doesn't move me emotionally to feel this vibration, that's okay. Even if it doesn't make me like imagine having riches all around me or whatever it is I want, that's okay. So like know that you can do this. There's a way for you to match this vibration. You do it all the time. That's how you created your life. This is part of you, right? So how I do it is I just ask myself, all right, well, maybe I want $1 million. Very generic, right? Well, how would I feel having $1 million? And I'm just going to close my eyes for a moment. So do that too. Change it to something else if you don't want $1 million. So just feel in your body like, okay, I'm giving myself $1 million right now. It's in my bank account. How do I feel? And if how do you feel doesn't work, how does your body change? How does your body change? Or like, what am I observing right now? Is it internal? Is it external? Is there a smile on my face? Do I feel lighter? Do I feel heavier? Do I see a picture? How am I experiencing this? Okay, I gave myself $1 million. What is the experience of this? So just right off the bat, my experience is that I don't feel a lot. I feel soothed a little bit. I feel safe a little bit. I feel empowered, like I feel good about it. It's not it's a very subtle shift for me having $1 million in my bank account. Very subtle, but it's a good feeling. It's a safety, it's a comfort. That's what it is for me. What is it for you, Carrie?
Well, I really liked some of the questions that you asked. Like these are good questions as opposed to how do you feel? So how do I feel? I felt immediately relaxed. How does my body changed? I felt open. Everything felt a little bit softer. What am I observing right now? And that is what got interesting for me. And then you said it a different way. You said you've just been given $1 million, or you had like a different. And so that brought a different kind of excitement for me. It brought like, oh, okay. So after I was already relaxed, then you said you've been given $1 million. And I was like, oh, this is going to be so fun. I know. And I went to my brain. I really did go to my brain. I went away from like this relaxed feeling and into like, oh, this is going to be so fun. I know how I want to use this money. I know where I want to put this money. I know. And it then had the feeling of excitement. So that was super helpful to me because I will just tell you that in the past, when someone told me, well, just feel how it would feel to have that, I wanted to be able to, I felt like I should feel excitement. And so it was cool to like experience. I mean, it is exciting if someone just handed me $1 million, but first, in order for you to even say someone has handed you the $1 million, I had to be in this like relaxed place of receiving. So yeah, it was, thank you. It was super duper good. And the answer to the question is similar to yours. Relaxed, open, safe, secure, which are feelings that many of us can conjure, whether or not we're imagining $1 million. And that's what I hear Abraham saying all the time, right? They say you don't actually want the thing that you think you want. You want the way you think it will make you feel. So just feel that way now. I think where we got caught up, or where my brain went when you talked about having it all, was I have a specific client right now who keeps talking about being successful. And she's having trouble accessing what that would feel like. What would it feel like to be successful? And I think that I am guilty of doing that with the all, right? Is like, I'm just looking at all the things and not really thinking about, okay, let's imagine I had that yacht. What would it feel like to be laying on the deck or doing whatever? I don't actually want a yacht, but that's a whole nother thing.
I don't either. Yeah, so hopefully if you're listening to this, you were able to access something like that and write it down. Do it with your all too, or do it with one thing, right? But like, you're probably going to notice a theme. The things you want probably make you feel a similar way, and lean into that. When you wake up in the morning, am I willing to feel this way today? Am I willing to feel this way today? Am I willing to feel safe and comforted and relaxed? Am I willing to go there? And if you have trouble feeling that way, what activities can you do to help you get there? Like, I know for me, like restorative yoga, yin yoga really helps me open up and feel relaxed like nothing else. Meditating helps me feel really connected and open. Writing makes me feel alive and like there's electricity shooting through my body. So I pay attention to how I feel when I'm doing different things. And then I can, like a catalog, open up one of those things whenever I need help feeling that way. This is mastery of your instrument of manifestation. This is how it works. Why do we keep getting the same thing over and over again? Because we keep feeling the same thing over and over again. And when we change that, the outside world changes.
So, Rachel, have you, over the course of this near hour that we've been together, have you been able to access feelings of safe and comfortable and relaxed and open?
Now, yes. Yes. When we first started, no. And actually, I was like just checking my site to see, like, are you back yet? Because I'm back. No, but I'm sure it will resolve more easily for sure. So, I like it's, I think doing things. So when we are in action, we are kind of forgetting about the other things that are going on. And I notice that really helps me. So, like, that's why this activity idea can be super helpful. Like, my partner was really anxious yesterday and he went for a run and he felt 80% better afterwards. Like, find something to do with yourself if you need help getting into a new vibration.
And I think that's super duper important. And it's oftentimes the thing that we resist, right? Like, I mean, running, like it is hard to get out that front door. Even yoga, like I have my yoga clothes on, I have my mat behind me. I know that it will happen today. I know that it is probably the most beneficial thing for me to do right now. And it's like, oh my, I've just been avoiding, I've been finding other things to do instead, right? So like we're all guilty of that. And so it's a good reminder of, hey, we've chosen to live vibrationally. We are here because we like generally agree that our vibration creates everything else. So we might as well make that the most important thing in our life. So we might as well make feeling good the most important thing in our life. We're here, like we're all here because we share that belief. I several years ago, I know you guys know this, made a vow to live that way, and my life really, really, really changed. And still, my yoga mat is behind me, and I have not gotten on it yet today, right? And still, inertia is real. The like shifting, Abraham talks about like turning that train around, right? Like momentum is real. And I'm gonna yawn again. And that's why we have these reminders. Because now I'm excited to get on my mat.
Yay. Yeah. And thanks, Vicky. She's saying, find joy, then work, is what I have learned watching you for years. Yeah. I mean, counterintuitive. I don't hear it a ton of places, but it really works because whatever feeling you are in is what you're creating more of. So if we work on our businesses when we're stressed, we're creating more stress, right? Which is why walking away is such a good idea when you are in something. So yeah, love
I
it.
think
Thanks for showing up, Vicky.
I think the rub, Rachel, is that have to or the deadline or the right. And that is when it is a good reminder to like, hey, I can have it all. And my higher self is not bothered by my limiting beliefs or whatever resistance that I have created in the here and now. But I know like our humanness is I'm actually thinking about my husband right now, like how many times I've been like watching him like do some sort of project in the house where like the more he does it, the worse it gets, right? Like he's just getting so frustrated with it, or he's like up on a ladder and he keeps dropping things, or like just like you can like see the physical resistance. And I'll be like, hey, why don't you just like chill out for a minute and take a break? And he's like, no, I'm not gonna stop until I finish. Like I have to get this done before we leave the house today. And I'm like, but you don't, right? And it will take him 6 times as long and all kinds of frustration than if he had just walked away. Or sometimes what will happen is he'll finally get so frustrated he will walk away, and then I'll just like walk up and finish it from a place of no resistance. So, anyways, what I'm saying is we've all been my husband from time to time, and yeah, that's okay too.
Yeah. And you know what else I want to add, guys and ladies and folks? This does not require perfection. Like, you do not need to be a perfect human in order to have your all. Like, think about the people who you think might have it all, right? Like the Elon Musks of the world and the other very, Richard Branson, like all the people, Oprah. No one is perfection. No one is perfected. Like everyone has their own stuff going on, and they aren't trying to please everyone. So just keep that in mind, because I see that a lot too. It's like, well, I'll have everything when I deserve it, when I'm perfect, when I'm dot dot dot. And that you can just throw right out the window. Like, that's not true. Your higher self doesn't care about your limiting beliefs, and it doesn't care about the whatever you think is the perfect version of you.
I think I watched something, it was a Louise Hay thing. I don't know how long ago it was. But it was, she said something like, of course, we're all deserving of our dreams. Like we're all worthy and deserving of everything we desire. And it was like the first time I thought about that, like, oh yeah, like, oh. And it just like hit me. And ever since then, it's like, of course we're all worthy of our desires. Of course we're all deserving of our desires. Like we couldn't have them. I don't know. This will take us down a whole different path. But I just think sometimes we like, that is one of those moments where I went through a lot of my life with this worthiness thing, like prove my worth. And then I heard that and I was like, oh, I could just be deserving of it because oh, cool.
I think it's also possibly like a religious thing too. Like if you have ever listened to Dave Ramsey's show, which I do not endorse anymore because there are a lot of allegations within his company that he does not treat people well. But yeah, he always answers with like, "How are you? Better than I deserve." And it's just kind of like maybe that's not the best message. It's okay that he says it. He can say whatever he wants, but like, you're not better than you deserve. You know what I mean? So let's kind of also take this like false humility out of the equation, because no, you deserve everything you want. You are a beautiful, divine, multidimensional being, and the whole universe is sending you nothing but love. So if you can like kind of breathe into that a little bit, it's just going to help you.
I could keep talking about this forever because as you're talking, I'm thinking about like, and I know we've had this conversation before. We use the Kardashians as an example a lot, but like people saying like, well, why does she deserve that? Or why do they deserve to live like that? And I have to, go to my crappy 9 to 5 or whatever. And I'm like, well, because she feels worthy of it. Like that's why. And good for her.
Yeah. And, you can watch their journey. It's documented. It is a fascinating thing to go back to the first episode and see that beautiful but smaller house that they're living in all together, to watch the family dynamic, to watch them send Kim on all these tiny little jobs. They had a TV show, but they worked it. They worked on themselves. They had that deserving attitude. It's really a great case study if you ever want to see, how did they get here, right? How did two of them become billionaires from where they started? Because there are a lot of reality TV people who do not get there, right? It's not like, oh, you get a reality show and then you become a billionaire. Right? It's a very outlier position that they're in. So you can watch them and how they accomplish that. It's pretty cool. Anyway, we're kind of at the end. Hi, Jane. Thanks for the heart. I love this so much, which is why I've created a free course that will help you find your particular personalized path to abundance based on 4 pillars that I think it takes. And you're going to learn all about that very soon. I'm going to invite you via email tonight or tomorrow. It's a live thing with me and Carrie for 3 days in a row, but it's not all day. So you'll be able to watch it at your leisure. Hopefully you can join us live. But you'll get all the information. It's called The Path to Abundance. And I can't wait to invite you. And I can't wait to see you there.
I'm really excited about it too, if you can't tell.
All right. Well, I think we're going to leave you here, everybody. We love you so much. Thanks so much for coming. If you have any more topic ideas, let us know. And thanks. We'll see you next week. Maybe. I might be on vacation, but we'll do something. We'll send you something.
I'm going to sneeze now. So
Yay. Bye, everybody. Thank you all for coming.